Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video we are going to talk about one of my favorite mini PCs still even now today. Yep, it's an Intel Inside, and I must say, like, even despite the AMD mini PCs are absolutely like a way better, great value for your money, I still love these mini Intel mini PCs, particularly this one. So this version is called the Model AK3V. So it comes with the Intel Apollo Lake Celeron G3455, having 4 gigs of RAM and in total 64 GB of internal storage. So when you're looking at the specs, it's absolutely not really fancy. Okay, so what do I mean with fancy? So you do have like these AMD models that have such a great specification list. But the reason this thing is still one of my favorite ones is just the price and the thing that you can do with it. So the casing itself is not your, let's say, typical very nice full on metal version. It's just a lot of plastic, fantastic. But this thing has a lot to offer. To begin with, we do have the option to add ourselves an extra 2TB SATA drive and expand the 64 GB internally. So we're going to use this, of course, with the drive. So we add some Botachera to it. At the front, we're going to get ourselves like freaking like 3 USB. There are like basically 2 3.0 on one, an older version USB. Then we do have like the microSD, we do have an on and off switch. At the other side, we're even going to get 2 HDMI, another USB, a LAN function, microphone, and the input for the DC. And we also have like a VGA. So what I really like about this is not only that this thing comes with a very nice, compact and quality power supply. So power supply is just your typical 12 volt, but it's in 30 watt. But what I like about this thing is that we do have like a lot of options that we can play some retro games. Especially if you're going to look up the price point. If you're looking at, let's say, in comparison to Raspberry Pi 4, this thing has so much more to offer. So let's put some games on it and I will show you what I mean. You can still find these things on AliExpress or maybe some other websites for not a lot of money. And when you're looking at, let's say, Raspberry Pi 4 and you combine it, let's say, with all kinds of, let's say, fancy stuff like fans, you do come, let's say, at the same price or maybe a little bit more. But with this particular one, with arcade, you can even play some Killer Instinct. And I think that is quite interesting because the Pi can't. Okay, so what do we get? We're going to get the Intel Apollo Lake Celeron. It's named the G3455. It comes with whopping 4 GB of RAM. Then we're going to get 64 GB of internal storage, but we're not going to use that today. Wi-Fi capabilities 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz. And we're going to get a support for an HDD. And this is going to be a 2.5-inch model up to 2 TB. But briefly, I want to basically try to play some games on this device. It's not a powerhouse, it comes with not like amazing specifications, but the reason I just wanted to check it out, just to see if you want to play some old school games, if you want to play some, let's say, indie games, what can we play and what can it handle. So let's take a close look at it first. Okay guys, so let's start with my first game that I ever played back in the days. This game can be played on so many things, even including handhelds nowadays, but still it's fun to play it and it runs pretty damn good.
You have taken the lead. 3 frags left.
Alright, next up, time for some Mugen, the engine where you can create your own fighting game. Yeah, it's freaking awesome that it still runs on Windows 10 and yeah, it's so much fun and it's revisiting because I played a lot of the Mugen engine. Let me know in the comments, did you ever play Mugen? Did you ever knew it existed? Let me know in the comments. Next up, Broforce. I love this game, but this is a great example that it pushes this device to the limit. The GPU is not powerful enough. On full HD I got like 15 frames, so messing around with the resolution I went up to 800 by 600 old school resolution, and finally I got some better FPS, because when you're looking at it, especially with the gameplay, you can see it still struggles big time. the loading time for Cuphead are quite long. I can say, like, when you compare this with my game PC, you can see like almost instant load, and you didn't have this with this mini PC. But when it comes to the FPS, we're going to get a quite stable 60 FPS all the time when playing some games, including some bosses. Okay, so when it comes to the Windows part, it's not like super special, but it's still a very cool add-on if you want to do this. But what are we going to get when it comes to Emulation and Bodhishira? So we can basically like use not 3.5 inch because this thing is too big, but we need an enclosure for that. But what we can do, we can get ourselves an SSD for this device. We can reconfigure a 2.5 inch drive. There are a lot of things that we can do with it. So let's talk about that first. So when it comes using Bodhishira, there are different ways to go. So if you want to use a certain like piece of hardware, you can use it like 4 different ways in my opinion. Then we're going to get ourselves the very convenient and really cool thing is an SSD. You can basically put an SSD inside your PC, install some Bodhishira on this bad boy, and you get to have a lot of fun. The main problem at the moment was making this video, SSDs are very expensive. Another option that we're going to get, and this is way cheaper, you can get yourself a 2.5 inch platter disk. These things are not very expensive, and yeah, if you're going to load up, you have a lot of space for not a lot of money. Another plug and play solution, if you just want to have Bodhishira like a plug and play, you can use basically a very easy plug and play SanDisk or an other brand. Like you need to have a very fast port in combination with very fast thumb drive. You can use this, load up Bodhishira, plug and play. And of course, the last but not least, and the cheap edition is basically get yourself a 3.5 inch. But if you cannot assemble it, what you need to do is also get yourself an external enclosure, because you basically use an external enclosure in combination with Bodhishira and USB. So get yourself a Super Console X hard drive. What you're going to get is basically a 2.5 inch hard drive. Yeah, you're going to get a case and you're going to get yourself, yeah, like a preset Bodhishira. So all you need to do is add in your files. Another way you can go is the Pad. And the Pad is basically like an all-in-one solution. So if you don't want to do like a lot of searching for controllers, stuff like that, what you're going to get is this very nice fancy case. And inside you're going to get instruction, how you need to configure everything, how Bodhishira works. So there are some stuff that have been done. You're going to get yourself 2 wireless controllers. I think there are different models out there. And this is like the more expensive places to knockoffs. They're not the best controllers, but these are not bad at all. It comes with including 2 2.4 GHz dongles. Then we're going to get ourselves the enclosure with the hard drive. So basically you can just plug in the Pad with the controller, add your stuff, and you can go your way. And not to forget the fancy casing. Oh, yeah. So this is what you're going to get with the Pad. So basically in combination with the Super Console X stuff, this is what you can do with this. But this machine has the option to add an internal hard drive. So what is the very positive thing about internal hard drives? You're going to get the maximum speed, depending of course of the SATA connection. Take into consideration, especially when you're using really old hardware. So most of the time, a hard drive will be fast enough. This is in Western Digital Blue. There are different speeds out there. Take consideration, you have like 5400, you have 7200, if I'm saying it correctly when it comes to the speed. But nevertheless, you're going to get the maximum speed if you're going to get yourself a fast hard drive. So it's going to be more convenient when you're basically like loading up your files. Yeah, and the SSD is the same story. These things are like super expensive sometimes, especially when you're going to get 1 or 2 terabytes, and there are like different speeds. But if of course, if the SATA drive can handle the speeds, you will have like significant faster load times. But there is another thing you can consider. But let's say your old PC only has USB 2.0 and you can build your hard drive inside. I would recommend doing this because it will give you so much more advantage to the speed. But this device has the USB 3.0. 3.0 is a very fast way and like absolutely crazy. So if you want to use, let's say, a Pad, this is like a super good solution. Or plug in your USB dongle. Yeah, and also like this is a very tiny one. This thing gets really hot, but also different speeds we have here. And what you can do is like plug it in. You can just basically pull it out if you want to use your PC as a PC. So like there's things you need to consider which direction you want to go, but there are a lot of different ways to go. Alright guys, so everything has been set up, the controllers, the speakers, everything seems to be working now. So let's take a close look at the menu, but what can we play? That will be the question for today. But let's get into the Bodhishira. For the people who have no idea what you can play. So basically what you can play are all the retro games, even up to Wii U is possible. Seriously, like it's crazy if you think about it. But because we're basically going on the budget when it comes to the PC hardware, then we're going to get some restrictions. So what I want to focus on with this mini PC, what can we do when it comes to PlayStation Portable, Sega Dreamcast, Sega Naomi, stuff like that, Sega Saturn, but also when it comes to the MAME arcade. Can we finally play some pretty damn decent MAME? So think about Tekken Tag, stuff like that, like the really demanding stuff that we can play with a Pi or with a basic Android box that costs almost the same or maybe even more. So that's what we're going to find out today, and that is what we're going to test today. Alright, next up. So Killer Instinct is a system that cannot be played on Raspberry Pi 4, or you need to like start tweaking and going all crazy with overclocking. But this PC runs it without any problem. So let's boot up a game, let's fight a part of it, just to see what happens. How stable it is. And of course I'm going to get my ass whooped here. But you can see like the game runs pretty damn good. It's unstretched, so basically in the manual we'll need to like mess around with it to put it back on 4:3 aspect ratio. But I just wanted to give you like a quick demo how stable this game runs on a cheap PC. Alright, next up, Killer Instinct number 2. A minor hiccup there. But it was more like a loading issue. And when you're getting into the game, it runs pretty damn good. And I really suck at this game. Okay, so next up let's use a different game in the list. Because this is a system that doesn't run very well on low-end devices most of the time. You can hear like the audio is having issues. But this is more like purely an audio problem. Because so far I can see like the emulation speed is pretty damn good. It's a shame about the audio, but that can maybe be fixed. Alright guys, so let's take a closer look at the Atomus Wave. And this system is playable on Android boxes, even the Raspberry Pi 4. But now we're going to talk about like systems from the same price range. So that's the reason I wanted to start off with this system, because it's still very demanding, cannot be played on Super Consoles, the cheap boxes. So that's the reason just wanted to pick it up. But okay, runs pretty damn good. So let's take a close look at another system. Alright, so next up let's play some Sega Dreamcast. It's even forced into widescreen mode. So the screen will be filled up and not be stretched, that's the difference. I think when you're looking at like low power devices, you can maybe like push it a little bit better when it comes to the resolution, a little bit higher. But an overall performance is pretty damn good. And you can play Dreamcast without a hassle on this device. Okay guys, so when you're going to look up into the restrictions of this box, now we're going to reset. You know, like when we're going to get a lot of good performance with MAME, maybe with some tweaking, we're going to get Sega Saturn to run a little bit better, but this is what you're going to get with still low power devices. And by the way, this box was quite cheap in my opinion. And here we're going to see what the limitations are. Alright, so let's see how PlayStation Portable will run. Because this is a system that has a lot of problem when it comes to Android boxes.
Round one. Fight.
But take consideration, Tekken is not like a super demanding game compared with God of War. So this is more like, it's still powerful enough to run PlayStation Portable on 2x resolution. And if you're going to get like in God of War, then you need like basically adding a lot of tweaks to it.
Round 2.
Alright, so next up, let's try a different game. Wipeout is a great example. It's still not like super demanding or like God of War, but it's like taking it to the next level. I can see this game runs very well. Surprisingly, pretty damn good on this cheap mini PC. So what I really like about this thing is that you're going to get a lot of value for your money. But of course, that's my opinion. Let me know what you think of that.
Autopilot engaged. Disengaging.
Bandicoot, my old nemesis.
And also when you're looking into the PlayStation 2 port, there we're going to see where is the limit of this box. PlayStation 2 is absolutely unplayable on this. And Crash Bandicoot is not even like say the most demanding game of the series. So and this is like the limitation combination with Sega Saturn. But still we can play a lot of stuff with this cheap box. Okay, so next up let's try the GameCube. And the GameCube, it's still quite a demanding system, but there are some games that are playable on this system. And that is what I just wanted to show off. It's like how capable this device is. It will hiccup here and there. It will still have maybe some issues. Here you can just hear that the audio is pretty damn slow. So this doesn't run on the full speed. Maybe if you look up some other two-dimensional games, it will get a better performance. But again, limitations are here. So that is the reason why I just love this thing. It's absolutely cool. So if you want to play some old school games with it, let's think about up to the PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast, you have so much more offer. Like even the Sega Saturn, it will be some native resolution, but still it's pretty damn cool. Let me know what you think of this. Would you consider buying it? For now, I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell. I hope this video was a little bit of inspiration and it will be great to see you in the next video.